All right, we got another Plat Chat interview. This time, me and Jake were joined by Zeruhh Infekted from Nightmare. Infekted, you were featured on the previous episode we had with NRG. You had a good stream, yeah?
Yeah, it was a good stream. Went 9-1 actually, so
9-1. Oh,
9-1.
Wow.
Yeah.
What rank are you at right now after the reset and everything?
It was my ult, so I think my main's at Champ 5, and my ult is like 1 game away from Champ 5. I like GM1 right now.
Oh, okay. You got the 750 games on your Smurf as well. Qualify for top 500.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
You're done for.
Oh my, why did they add that? Okay.
Just for you, so you stop smurfing, dude.
Bro. Alright, well I won't touch that count ever, I guess.
You can get there with 750. But yeah, that was pretty much the reason why they added it. Just so Infekted can't stack 5 accounts on the leaderboard.
They had me in mind, I guess, yeah.
Everyone. What about you, Zeruhh? How's the rank grind going?
I mean, I played like 3 games today, and I was one-tricking Widow, so it didn't go that well. I don't know. I'm not having too much fun with rank this season, but it's okay.
Bro, you lost a game, you left the VC, I just saw you get on Val instantly.
Bro, no, because I was like, I played 3 games and I ran into like Reinhardt, and like I always had a Zarya on my team for some reason versus Reinhardt, and Zarya does not counter Reinhardt, so I don't know. It's not that fun, but it's okay.
Sometimes I like reading the Reddit when people talk about what counters what, and the advice is so bad when people.
Yeah, I'm just like,
they're like,
guys,
just go. Bastion is really bad against Zarya. Zarya is so good against Bastion. I'm like, I don't know about that. Like maybe.
Like, guys, they have a Reinhardt. Can we get an Orisa instead of a Zarya? You know, like. But I don't know. I guess they don't have Orisa unlocked or something.
Yeah. Any reason you're one-tricking Widowmaker? I've heard people think Widowmaker is OP these days in ranked. Take over the lobbies.
I mean, Widow's just fun. I just have more fun on Widow. So, like, you know, if I can, like, maybe carry some fights just by getting headshots, I'll just play Widowmaker instead of, like, trying my ass off on, like, Tracer or something. I don't know.
I swear, whenever, like, I duo with you, you only play hit scan.
It's fun. It's so fun. I don't know why. Hit scan's just so fun.
Like, you just only play hit scan.
It's so fun.
Hit scan's chill. It's the relaxed DPS.
Yeah,
you chill.
yeah.
You shoot people. If you lose, you lose. You win, you win.
Yeah.
You're not turning around, fighting a war.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching Jake play a game of Gibraltar before everyone joined the call here. You ended the stream, and you were losing to a Reaper on Gibraltar. I mean, maybe
Reaper,
Backbone
dude.
was cooking with Reaper being overtuned. Maybe Reaper is just.
All right, in ranked, Reaper is fine actually right now. Like the meta, the supports are so tanky, you know. But it's just a troll game.
Yeah. It was just a troll rank game, so no need to really into that. All right, getting on to the actual interview and talking about OWCS and Overwatch Esports and everything that's been. So when we talked to the NRG guys, the most logical place was to start with like big picture, reflecting on the year. But I actually think in your case, we kind of just need to get going talking about stage 4 and how close you were to winning stage 4 instead. So just kind of get your thoughts, like reflecting on stage 4 and the final that was. How did you guys feel about the matchup against Toronto? And, you know, what are your thoughts now a week or so after the grand finals took place?
I mean, I'd say like leading up to Toronto, like everyone kind of knew we weren't like the pressure was off of us, you know, like the pressure was on Toronto, like they were the favorites to win, but I mean, to be honest, I was never scared of Toronto. Like I always thought we could beat them because I think we like this stage specifically we worked really hard. Like I'd say we worked harder than I think every team in NA. So I was pretty confident, especially with the meta too. Like just putting me on Genji, Infekted on Orisa, and like I feel like everyone was very comfortable on our heroes. So I was pretty confident going into the finals, I'd say.
Yeah, like I think like specifically this meta too is like really good for like everybody's hero pools. Like Seeker on Cass, me on Orisa, you on Genji, and then CJ is like really good at Juno. CJ learned Juno really fast, and then Admiral's just an insane brig. Like we were all on really like comfort heroes, and like all the meta is just like ultimates and then just like random picks, which I have the DPS for random picks, and then like all of us are just really smart like macro wise. So we, as long as we don't troll ultimates, we always normally do well.
And as you guys are preparing for, you know, what could be the future for Stockholm, we don't, you know, who knows if there's going to be another patch or not. Have you thought there's like, do you think there's continued innovation to find in the meta, or do you feel like people are kind of like optimizing it now that people have played the Juno Brig Rissa style for at least a few weeks now, probably about a month, since Juno has been really strong. Do you think the patch changes anything, or just more of the same?
I don't think it changes much. I think most of it is still the same, but like again, there might just like somebody might find something new that's good. Because Orisa, I don't even think Orisa was meta at the start of this patch. Like I think most of the teams played Ram and Mei. And then I don't even know who found Orisa was good, but just one day like somebody just started playing Orisa and then like like we just couldn't beat it, so like we just started playing it too. I think that's how most teams like found out the same way. So I mean anything can change, but for now like the meta looks the same as stage 4 for the most part.
Yeah, I think right now the patch really hasn't changed much. I mean, like, there are some like maps where maybe you can just play dive, like it's more favorable, or like play some niche like Zen comps with the Orisa that like are kind of catch teams off guard. They're kind of hard to play against. So, but I mean, for the most part, I think it really just stays Juno Brig, Orisa Genji comp.
Do you think that's a good meta for you guys going into international competition? I know you said you're confident on it in NA, but playing against the Crazy Raccoon, the Team Falcons, or any of the teams out of Europe, do you think you can also stack up well in those matchups?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I think at least specifically for me, like I'm pretty confident that I can hold my own versus the best Genjis in the world, especially in this comp. Same with Infekted, I'd say, and the rest of our team. I think this meta would be really good for us going into the international competition, and we can make a lot of upsets. Even not on this meta, I'm still confident we can hold our own internationally.
I think this is like sorry.
Now go on.
Wait. Okay. I think this meta is like probably like the only meta I'd say that we'd have a chance of beating the Korean teams genuinely, just because it's like it's a lot just like ult dependent, right? And then all of our players are on their comfort heroes. But if it's like dive, like it's gonna be hard to beat the Korean teams on dive. And then if it's like rush, like I don't know if everybody's gonna be comfortable on like all those heroes, right? So I think like this meta where it's like it can kind of go both ways, and then like all of us are on like comfort heroes is like really good for us. But I still agree with Zeruhh. Like no matter what meta, I think we'll do very well against the other teams.
Yeah, I did look at some of your previous results as well, just to get a fresh reminder. And like people do kind of forget that you were really close to beating Toronto Defiant already in stage 3, which was a bit of a different meta as well. So just kind of curious, looking past the current meta, you say that it's one of the best ways for you to beat the Koreans, but still, like, you're not a one-trick team. Like, if it was a dive meta, surely you'd feel like you'd put up good performances against NA, EMEA, etc. on if it was dive, for example, or Reinhardt or other metas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, dive like what last season we played like Toronto would choose like Dorado versus us on dive in like the match, and we'd like beat them on Dorado playing dive.
Did you full or hold them? I'm pretty sure you full or hold them.
We got full held and we full or held them. And then this season they chose Ilios twice. Like I remember after we beat them the first time on Ilios, like I was talking to Vega and he just called it a fluke. So they chose it again, and then they lost again 2-0. Like we beat them on Reinhardt, we beat them on Winston. Like I think dive, like compared to the EMEA teams, like I think we can definitely beat out some of the European teams on dive. And I think the Korean teams are going to be really hard to beat on dive, but you never know,
Yeah, that'll definitely be an uphill battle. Unless you had anything more on that, Jake, I kind of just want to take this moment as well to just chat about the game, the balance of the game, set of the game.
I guess before we move on from this current meta, one thing I'm curious about is like with SSG playing a ton of Mei and EMEA and a few of teams in NA as well, using the character here and there, or more than that. Do you think there's going to be maps where Mei ends up being dominant, or that it's a style that continue to succeed, or is it more of a fluke that some teams have kind of made hay out of the Mei pick?
Well, with the map reworks, I'm kind of calling like SSG rigged it, because I think Dorado and Circuit, you can like Dorado, like a Reinhardt can get onto the high ground now, taking an elevator. So I think Rush can be played a lot more on some of the dive maps where you mostly see Winston. So I think there are some maps where the Mei is a lot more viable now, like especially those maps like Dorado, Circuit,
Yeah.
Especially in a first to two, we play versus SSG. Like they could definitely cheese out a win, but if we plan ahead and go into the game with a good plan, we can win.
Yeah, we looked at the maps in the previous episode. So you're lucky because Dorado is not in the pool. And
Okay.
the
Oh,
escort.
thank Oh my God.
The escort maps are Circuit Real, Watchpoint Gibraltar, and Chambali. So you don't have to play Dorado. But you know, the NRG guys, they pitch Clash. You know, maybe picking Clash against Crazy Raccoon will give them a good chance. So maybe you can take it to Clash if you want to against SSG. Yeah, how do you feel about the first to two thing? Like, does that like bother you, or are you fine with it?
So like for me, like when we went to Dallas, it kind of sucked not playing like our first match on stage because like the first match I played against SSG was like in the back rooms and it was weird. So I like the fact that like all the games are on the main stage. So I like it better. And I know it's like they have to work around like the time constraints of DreamHack.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with playing a first to two. I mean, it's not ideal. Like, I'd like it to be a first to three, but I mean, we just have to go with what we're dealt, you know. So it doesn't really matter to me. A win is a win.
All right.
Is there special preparation you're thinking about as far as going up against SSG, like as a team that they have like a very clear, distinct identity? Is that hard to prepare for, as far as like scrims, or are there teams in NA that can kind of give you at least some sense of how they might play?
I mean, I think we're scrimming them this week, so I guess I'll find out then.
Wait, we are? Oh wait, yeah.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. I
No.
don't-
Oh,
yeah. I mean, I'll just ask like Admiral for all their secrets and stuff.
Oh
if
yeah,
he
you
is
got
on
the
London,
inside
yeah.
man.
Just-
Grudge match for Admiral, huh?
Yeah. Just like, how do they play? What do they do? You know.
this is revenge. But yeah, I don't know if there's like any team in NA that's similar to them. So it's definitely gonna be like tricky to kind of like practice for it. But as long as we have like good scouting and like good ideas going into it, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so I mean, going into Stockholm, like what is the practice setup for you guys? Do you have anything planned when it comes to boot camping or practice schedule? Like, how are you preparing over the next 4 weeks?
I mean, we're gonna be boot camping. I know we're gonna be boot camping in Europe for like a week, so because I think the Korean teams will also go to Europe for boot camp. So yeah, that'll be good. We have a good boot camp planned out, which will be great for practice and like I guess improving fast. Because I know at our last boot camp, like we were in NA, so we were scrimming like maybe we were scrimming like Ents and like TSM every day. But now I think we can practice versus more variety of teams and kind of improve more off of that. And I think we're gonna be like taking scrims just as seriously as we did in stage 4 because this is the last tournament of the year. You know, it's super important. Like stage 4, we were like triple blocking and VOD reviewing. Like,
Wow.
like we were working really hard, so we're gonna keep that up and I guess just stay focused for Stockholm.
Yeah.
Yeah, how does that work with the the rest of the team? Like how much time do you have for practice these days? Like, do you think you're one of the teams that practice the most, maybe, like in the region?
Yeah, for sure. I
Yeah,
think we practice the most.
We probably practice like more than Toronto, honestly. Okay, maybe not, but like
Nah, I
we-
think we did. I think we practiced more than Toronto.
I don't think, like,
I don't think any other team besides us triple blocked. I think we're the only team that triple blocked.
yeah, probably.
And that works fine with like the current ecosystem. Infected, you're playing collegiate as well, so it feels like you probably have to juggle like different tournaments and different obligations, but you're still able to make time for that many blocks a day.
Yeah, so like the scrims going to stage 4, like my grades were not even good, but I got back up to a 3.0, so I'm good now. But yeah, so I kind of like ignored school almost a little bit, and then like for like the collegiate matches, it's like if I have a scrim, like collegiate will just play for me. So it all works out, at least for me. Like I know Admiral and like CJ have collegiate too, but like they always figure it out. We always figure it out, so it all works out good.
Is it something collegiate, I mean, that you think about at all, Zeruhh, as far as something you might do in like the future
Oh
or
yeah,
next year?
I mean, I'm graduating high school soon, so hopefully like Winthrop will give me a scholarship, please. I'll go there.
There's a PSA.
So hopefully, yeah.
Nah, we're good.
But
Nah,
yeah, collegiate is definitely
no.
something I want to get into. Because I think collegiate is super. I think it's pretty important. Like it's a pretty like it's a pretty good path to take as a pro player. You know, collegiate it gives you like more sustainability. I'd say. You know, get a good education while pursuing Overwatch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the
Just
NRG
having a
guys.
bachelor's degree is something pretty
Yeah,
valuable.
yeah, put a lot of importance on that specifically. Yeah. So like, you know, looking at the landscape currently, you know, there's Face It, there's Collegiate, and there's OWCS. How are you guys feeling about competing in all those kind of 3 different avenues, and how do you kind of like put the importance on each? Like, what is the most important? Obviously, Zeruhh, you know, aspiring to play in Collegiate, but you know, you're juggling a lot of different competitions right now. So, what is it like competing in Overwatch?
So I think like at least collegiate for me, like most of them, like we can just have either like me or collegiate and like we'll be fine, except for like ISU because those players are also really good. So like that's not like that big of a concern. And then I think like face it for us and like Sweden is definitely top priority, but like our practice is like for Sweden and face it because the map pools are the same. And it's just like just playing together as a team. It almost just like blends together.
And for you guys as a team, I mean, obviously you're looking to do as well as possible here to close out the year and have the best placement you can in Stockholm. But looking ahead to the future, next year, next season, do you guys anticipate the team staying together and just like continuing to ride that success? Because it does seem like, especially the second half of this year, ever since Esports World Cup, has been kind of like a strong trajectory for your team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful that the team will stay together for next year. I mean, we'll have to like renegotiate contracts and stuff, but I think this project has been going well. We're constantly improving, and I think everyone works really well together and like really has the passion and the drive to win. So I think for me, I'd like this team to stay together. I think it's a project that has potential to win the NA.
It's important too because like all of the players on Nightmare have so much passion for the game and like wanting to improve, and you don't see that a lot on like the other teams. So it's really nice to play with, for sure.
Yeah. When you joined Nightmare, I guess that was more of a buyout kind of process. I don't know if you had a contract with NRG. Like, how did that like whole ordeal went down? So you were part of NRG, didn't qualify for EWC, and Nightmare were like, "Hey, we need a tank infected." Like, you went on loan, and then I believe there was some kind of like buyout. Like, what was that whole experience like for you? And what has it been like settling down with Nightmare since?
Yeah, so like I think like after our EWC performance and just like playing and scrimming with them, I realized I just like the environment a lot more. And like I've been friends with Zeruhh since I've been like 13. I'm close with like I was basically close with everybody there pretty much. And just like in my head, it was like, do I either like stay on NRG or I can just like take a risk with Nightmare? And I felt like I was improving a lot more on Nightmare, and Nightmare had more potential. So I honestly just asked Flack. I was like, can you pay my buyout? And like we figured it all out, and I got on Nightmare, and I'm happy that it's paying off. I'm happy it's paying off, and I think we've shown that. But like the transition has been like smooth too. Like even like living with like the NRG players and like in Winthrop, like we're still all friends. Like everything's awesome. I can't wait to meet Kellen and Attack 2 in Sweden. Those guys seem so cool. So it's all great.
Yeah, I do think like that aspect of Overwatch that, you know, the LAN events are these huge moments where there's only a few times a year we get to have the whole competitive community, you know, come together for the event, for the competition, but also just happening to be together and to like make all those connections. Are there any players besides those two that you mentioned for either of you guys that people that you know you're friends with, maybe from other regions that you want to meet or talk with in Sweden?
I mostly want to see Vega. I'm really close friends with Vega. We've been friends for like since like 2019ish, I'd say. So, I mean, I'd like to you know spend time with him in Europe. But and maybe Tree too. I consider Tree a good friend. So it'll be nice just seeing the energy guys in general.
What's the drinking age in Sweden, Johnny?
It's actually I think it's 16 at bars. No, wait, it's 18. No, wait, sorry, I got the wrong. It's 18.
Oh, misinformation.
It's 18 at bars, but then if you want to go buy alcohol, it's 21. So you can't go to like a yeah. And also, I don't know if this is not to you guys, but if anyone is listening that is wondering, they have like a monopoly on alcohol. So if you actually want to buy like alcohol, you have to go to a specific store that is like government sponsored. You can't just walk into like a 7-Eleven and buy beers. So for people who are planning, you know, hotel room drinking nights and stuff like that. Not you guys, of course, not you guys.
You guys would never.
No, you guys, no.
I got Capri Sun. I'm good with Capri Sun.
Capri Sun.
Yeah.
But for fans attending the event, there you go. So have that figured out beforehand. It's not like Dallas, where you can just walk out in the middle of the night and you'll find something. So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, it is 18 if you want to go drink at like an establishment, like a bar or something like that. So
I mean, Zeruhh can. I'll just be in my room the whole time, but
Ditch
Yeah.
Infekted in the room, go party.
look
Nah,
at the mods.
me and Tree can just like hang out together for the entire event. It's fine.
Drink Capri Sun together. It'll be great.
Yeah.
All right. So we touched on that transfer from Infekted a little bit. What about you, Sarah? I mean, you had a bit of a different kind of year and how you landed in Nightmare ultimately. So just like big picture, like what were your expectations going into this year? You were part of that team with Seeker, FMCL at the start of the year, if I remember correctly, and then jumped to a few different teams in between, but finally landed in Nightmare. So just looking at the entire year, kind of like reflecting on the year, what were your expectations going into 2024, and how has the year played out for you think?
Well, 2024 for me was like it was a year where I really wanted to have like a 180 in my career, because 2023 was like super tough for me. I got hit by roster mania like almost every tournament. You know, I felt like I was never on a roster that I could like, you know, stay on and like have success with. Like it was a lot of just, you know, all over the place. So going into 2024, I really wanted to have a different year, have a better year. And, you know, going into it, I got hit by roster mania again. I thought it was going to be like the repeat, like, you know, I'm on a team and then I hear like we're losing our other DPS to go to M80. So then our team falls apart. And then I go to M80 for like 5 minutes and then that team falls apart because M80 poached a different roster. So like beginning of the year was really hectic. But yeah, I did land on the FMCL team, or like the LFO team with Seeker, and we had a bumpy start. It didn't really go that well at the beginning, but you know, me and Seeker stuck it out together, and eventually we landed on a team that you know, had the potential to qualify for lands and compete at the top of NA. So I'm really fortunate for that, and I think so far from the beginning of my year to now, like had a really good turnaround. I want to be the best player in not only NA but the world as well. So I think right now where I'm at is a good start, a good stepping stone, I'd say.
Yeah, totally. No, I agree with that. And I mean, it feels like you've improved massively, like from the start of this year until now as well. Do you have any kind of like players that like you maybe like watch their replay codes or like study, or like what is like your process and like are there any players you look at their gameplay in order to improve yourself, or is it just grinding rank? Do you just grind ranked and scrims? Like what's your process for improving and getting there?
I think, I mean, my like the player I've always like looked at like in Overwatch 2, like for my role has been Proper. So I watched like a lot of Proper, like how he plays like Tracer and Genji. I've also I like watching Kevster. I think he's super good at what he does. So those players are players I've like looked at a lot and like I guess tried to study and, you know, learn why they do the things they do. And so yeah, I mean, I think I have improved like a lot like this year, but I also kind of like to think that I've been like this good. It's just been a bit a bit rocky with roster mania. I think now I'm finally getting like the chance to really to prove to others what I've like known for a long time. I've kind of known I've always had like the potential to compete at the top. So now I'm glad I finally get to like show other people, I guess, what I've worked so hard to achieve.
I don't know
Yeah.
if you had more on that, Johnny, but I was gonna
No, go for it.
go a different direction. Yeah. So one thing I was thinking about and talking with the NRG guys, I wanted to talk to you about it as well. Is just thinking about the competitive scene this year. You know, in the end, this is like year one of OWCS in terms of like a new start for the competitive scene. And I'm kind of curious for you guys who've competed through this year. You know, what have been the pain points for you, or the things that were good? Like what have been maybe things that you would want to see different next year? As far as ways the competitive scene could be improved from the perspective of professional players.
I think the circuit point system is a a bit confusing. I think I was hoping like maybe they could I think the circuit point system is something that's really hard to um like do really well. You know, I feel like there's like a lot of confusion with it. So maybe like if they could find a way to improve that system or like, you know, completely switch to something like entirely different in general. I think that would be a good start to the next year. Because like I don't know, like I feel like there was definitely a lot of confusion this year, especially leading up to Stockholm with how the circuit points worked, you know, like one day Infekted's telling me we qualified and then the next like 5 minutes he's saying nah I was wrong. Like I don't know, this is very confusing.
What about you,
Yeah, like
Infected?
I think some like my idea I think that would help is like just like resetting everybody's circuit points like halfway through the year because like especially at the start of stage 4 like multiple teams kind of had to like shift around to like even fight for the spot against us because like us Toronto and NRG were so high in points compared to others so like people were basically like for like Citrus I know was like forced to like switch people out and like the TSM roster being formed like that was made because like they had like that was the only way that like they could qualify or land like based off points. And I think just like that like teams having to do that is just bad. And they should just do it like halfway through so you can like stick with teams and like still like work and improve together instead of being forced to like switch to other teams just based off of points.
And how about as far as like the calendar goes? That's something we was talking about with NRG about as far as like was there do you feel like there was a lot of conflicts with tournaments, face it, OWCS, collegiate, that was that a challenge for you or did you feel like it was not, like especially for Infected balancing all three, um you think that was doable or do you think it's an area that can be improved as far as the future for OWCS?
I mean everything can like always be improved, but it didn't really like affect me, I guess. But I know like we were in a Atlanta DreamHack for Atlanta. Maybe they talked about this and like they had the matches because they lost their group match against Fluffy and they had to play like right after like our collegiate match or like and they had to like rush to like a PC cafe or like another college or something like that. I wasn't there. I don't really know, but yeah. So like they can always improve upon it, but like personally for me, it didn't really affect me at all.
But it sounds otherwise like you kind of enjoyed like OWCS that was this past year, you know, with the main events and stuff like that. So pretty satisfied with OWCS overall. And
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was great. I thought Dallas was awesome, and I liked like I don't know. I'm kind of stuttering here, but I don't know. Overall, it was great for me. I loved it.
yeah,
That's good to hear. I mean, honestly, like that's the goal, I guess, for our competitive scene. I just ask because I know like the folks running all these things are interested in, especially professional players' feedback, everyone's feedback about how the system continues to grow and change. Because I mean, that's the thing in changing the system so drastically to OWCS. Of course, there's a lot of like growing pains as that shift takes place, but I think it's interesting to think like what can it be next year and the year after, and in terms of like being a good place for players to continue to compete, um, and continue to for those like you that are still passionate about the game and like want to give it your all, that there's still going to be like a place for that and that's going to be supported.
yeah. The biggest feedback just sounds from everybody. People want more lands. Like everyone just want more lands,
Yeah.
more tournaments like Dallas, for example, or Stockholm. We can meet up with people from the region as well, and meet up with friends. So that seems like the biggest.
I agree. I strongly want more lands, the merrier.
Everyone wants more lands. All right, you want to chat a little bit about Stockholm? Obviously, we already talked about your first matchup, and you will be playing SSG in our first of two. And if you lose that game, you will be playing Twisted Minds as well. So, what is your like preparation going into the event when it comes to like thinking about the EMEA, thinking about North America? What are some teams you think you could really take on and you think are really beatable? Perhaps teams you really want motivationally to beat, whether it is teams like NRG, for example, or are you looking towards the EMEA? Like, do you really want to beat the EMEA teams?
Yeah, so at least for me, I really want NA to do better than EMEA this tournament because in Dallas, like NA honestly, like really fumbled. It honestly sucked, like watching in the I mean, I was in the tournament too, but we weren't meant to do well. But like watching in the stands, like watching M80 lose to, I think M80 lose to SSG and then ends beating Toronto, like it sucked. It sucked a lot, like especially for like the EWC slots. But I mean, that's not gonna matter now. But I want NA to do better than EMEA, 100%.
I just love that the rivalry is like so strong to some degree that you're sitting in the stands just like, oh, god damn it. Like, even, we couldn't do it. Toronto couldn't do it. The EMEA got both slots.
I mean, me and Zeruhh were watching like the Toronto match together, and when they lost, we were like, I think we were like, oh my, like we're not gonna be able to go to EWC together most likely, or something like. Well, actually, well, I mean that did happen, but you know.
Yeah, I think for me, like, I guess I really want to prove that there's still like passion in NA, and like NA can like still like really hang with, EMEA and Korea like internationally. So I really do think beating like SSG round 1 would be a great start, beating the champions of EU. So but yeah, for me, my goal is to really just prove that NA isn't like stagnating. Like, we're starting to improve again. After the whole like M80, they're there for a vacation. Like, they don't really care. Like, now NA cares again. Like, we're gonna be working really hard to like prove that NA can compete internationally, and I think beating like the EU teams would be a good start to that. I mean, honestly, like if we beat SSG and we play versus Falcons, like I guess I'm down to beat Falcons too. Like I mean, like, I'm down. Like
if we have to, I guess.
If we have to, like I think just winning is the goal. Winning is always the goal.
Yeah, I mean Toronto got second at EWC, right? So if you're that close to beating Toronto, albeit in a meta that might not be their strongest, maybe give some motivation that you can actually take it to some of these teams, right? So yeah, Jake, go ahead.
I was just thinking about, for you guys, like being at Dallas, being in at the EWC in Riyadh, what are you thinking about as far as like lessons learned from those LANs, experiences playing competitively? Because for you guys, that's like, I don't know how many, did you play LANs before this year, before Dallas and EWC? Was that something you'd experienced, or are those your first two?
Never like on stage in front of a crowd. I know me and Zeruhh have played like tier 3 LANs at like PC cafes, but never anything like not anything close to Dallas or WC, in my opinion.
Sure, with like the big crowd and everything. Is that something is it something you think about, or is it something you feel like you're ready for now, going to Stockholm now with a little bit more experience playing in front of the crowd under your belt? Yeah, I guess, how do you see that, like the experience of playing in front of a crowd? How does that change things for you, or does it at all?
So like I think Dallas like helped me a lot, just kind of like get more comfortable like playing in front of a crowd, like especially like that one game we had against Ents. Like it was only one game, but like just playing in front of a crowd is surreal. And like you could tell like when somebody gets a kill on our team, or like we're doing well in the fight, like I could feel like the stage like almost start shaking, and like the lights go. I don't know how to explain it. It's just a surreal feeling, and I think it's good. Like at least for me that I had that experience in Dallas, like helped me like stay much more like calmer in Stockholm, because I was very nervous in Dallas for sure.
Yeah, I'd say playing like in EWC, that was my first like international LAN. So I think I kind of learned like the basics and like how things go, and I guess like just playing like internationally, I kind of learned like what it's like. So I'm definitely a lot more prepared going into this LAN, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean it's hard as well because you're playing on stage like that. But then you not only have to play well like mechanically, but you also have to like adapt accordingly. And especially if you're playing SSG the first matchup as well. I mean, they adapted and pulled out like some Reinhardt Sombra comp on like Junkertown in the EMEA finals. And you're like, oh, you gotta be ready for that stuff. You gotta be ready to adapt on the fly, and maybe, playing on stage, different mindset, maybe you're nervous or something like that, right? So it's hard to stay on top playing your own best game, but then also preparing for other teams accordingly. So yeah, gotta practice for that kind of scenario. I asked this question to the NRG guys, and I kind of liked it, so I'm kind of gonna do it again. But I asked them if you could add one player at Stockholm to your team. You could pick any player, Korean, EMEA, whatever, Toronto, and you just get to add a player to Nightmare. Who would you add and why? Starting with you, Sarah.
Add to my team? I mean, like
without a thought of like you're replacing somebody, or not, you're not cutting a player.
Okay,
purely additive.
Yeah, just for fun.
I'd say like, I mean, I guess I'd say like Proper. I don't want to play with Proper. Like I'm down if it was like a Genji Tracer meta, like chop it up. But yeah, I guess I'd go with him because he's the player I've looked up to the most. I guess competing.
What about you, Infekted?
Oh wait, I just take like Landon or Funny Astros, and then SSG can't have them, and then we win.
Wait,
That's really how the exercise
No?
works.
Stop metagaming. Don't metagame.
Okay. Like,
They get to
okay.
keep Funny Astro on their team, but you also get Funny Astro or
You
something like that.
we just have a clone, I guess.
Yeah.
You clone a player. That's it.
You clone
You're
a
gonna
player.
clone a player.
Oh my god.
Okay. Okay. Like, I think for me, I'm very high on Junbin, so like I take Junbin, but then
Okay.
also like maybe PGE, just because then we'd have like a crowd on our side. Unironically, we would have crowd advantage in a region that isn't ours.
Seekers in, and people are like, "Why is PG not playing?"
He just walks out on the stage. He's like, "Hey," and the crowd just goes crazy.
Johnny, have you been to the DreamHack in Sweden before, or in EU in general?
Yeah, I went to my first one when I was like 14. But
Do you think the crowd is gonna be like booing the NA teams? How do you what kind of
I
atmosphere do you
think
expect?
the crowd is going to be hard ends. I think there's going to be a lot of ends heads because, you know, it's like a very old school brand for like a Counter-Strike country like Sweden, of course. And then, you know, got the Stolen there from Finland, of course, Kevster from Sweden. So more than Space Station, I think that ENS has the most name value, like in Sweden. So I think there's going to be a lot of
Kevster
assets.
hits a crazy blade. That is the crowd's gonna go wild.
Oh,
It's gonna
yeah.
be next level.
Oh yeah. So that'll definitely be a thing. Space Station, I'm not sure. Like, I don't know. I know they're an EMEA team, but compared to ENS, I'm not sure who the fans are gonna turn up for. So maybe there's some Swedish PG heads there. I don't know. But yeah, hard to tell. All right, great answer. In fact, a great answer. You did mention Junbin though. Is that kind of who you're like studying and looking to in your own game?
Yeah, I've watched so many like monkey VODs on him. Him and Donghack are like my two favorite. I always like go between those two, for sure.
I think Donghack's a great shout because even though the team didn't do as well this year, I think Donghack has had a pretty solid year in terms of his performances, especially like EWC. I thought he played really well.
Yeah. Is there anything about
That guy.
Donghack like you've noticed, like specifically, like something you learned from Donghack, or like something you took from his VODs, or something that comes to mind? Putting you on the
think
spot here, but
Yeah, no, I think Donghack is just very mechanically talented. Like I'll just watch like some of his VODs on like specifically like Doom too, like Doom and Winston and Ball. Like he's just so mechanically good. Like he just gets kills that he shouldn't. He just does like this like tag that like it just looks sick. And then Junbin, like specifically about Junbin, I call him the aura zoning Winston, where he'll zone their backline without zapping them. Because most Korean Winstons still like zap the backline to zone them and they'll like actually fight them. But I think he's the smartest because he'll just like play between the two and just like place a bubble down and then just like peel a lot. I think he's like really good at that. He zones the backline without actually like zapping them. I think that's like what he's really good at.
yeah. All right, Jake, you got anything else? We could chat a little bit about the game, but
I guess I'm curious. One of the things that I've been thinking about as far as going into Stockholm is like the different styles or preferences about how to play the meta. I mean, like teams like SSG playing a lot of Mei. Do you guys want to adapt more into like different styles of the comp, or are you guys? Because I think some teams are pretty much hardcore one tricking, like the Genji, Orisa, and I think that is viable. But are you guys sort of trying to balance the practice with the mind of there could be patches, there could be new things? Are you trying to look for that next comp that you guys talked about, or are you guys kind of hoping that like this is the meta and you can kind of stay in your wheelhouse into Stockholm?
I mean, I think we're a team that like we're really fortunate because I feel like we have a lot of flexibility. So like come down to it, we're gonna practice what we like want to practice. We're gonna play our own game, and if we need to adapt in a match, we will make that call and like we will be able to do it because like I trust everyone on like what they play and how flexible they are. So like if we need to adapt to something SSG are playing, like um we will adapt, and I think before even going into the match, we will have like an idea of like maybe if they pull out this because they're known for playing that, then we'll like swap to this, like we'll have a good plan A, we'll have a good plan B, and we'll adapt on the fly if need be, I'd say.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked to the NRG guys, and one topic that came up was actually hero bans. Now you guys actually played at EWC as well, so you get to experience that system. So since we're doing a lot of interviews with a lot of different teams here going to Stockholm, I'm actually kind of curious if everyone just want hero bans, if everyone just genuinely love that system. So I guess the question now goes over to you guys. Like, what do you think about hero bans, and is that something you'd like to see implemented for next year?
Hero bans is in Sweden?
No.
Oh,
We're
they're
asking
not?
hypothetically
No.
for next
Oh.
year.
Yeah, hypothetically for next
Oh,
year.
you got me so excited. Oh.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Say
though.
more, say
Okay.
more.
Yeah. No, I mean, like in EWC, it was just like really refreshing. It added almost like a new sort of like strategy, like going into teams, and it just felt fresh. You were playing like new stuff, new comps on like every single map. And it really rewarded, in my opinion, like the better teams. I feel like the better teams are good at like adapting and like flexibility. I think those are like two very important things. I think in like stale metas, like honestly, like this one too, it's like a lot of Brig, Juno, Orisa. Like I think like hero bans would be good to show off like other teams' flexibility and like strategies and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think hero bans like gave a lot more variety in the game, so you're not just like practicing one comp and one comp only. I also think hero bans make like the coach's role way more important. Like the coaches have a lot more like their job is a lot more important. And I agree with Infekted. I think hero bans reward the better teams because like I don't know. I saw like people tweeting like hero bans like reward the worser teams, but I just don't think that's true. Like I feel like hero bans reward flexibility and like uh good strategies. So I think hero bans like overall are actually like a pretty good system that I hope a lot more tournaments like kind of choose to experiment with, you know?
Even playing, you weren't just like, oh, they banned this hero, but like I wanted to play this style, or there was no like frustration around the system. It was mostly like excitement about trying to adapt in the moment and seeing how you can adapt mid game.
Yeah, no, I was like I'm always going to be confident that we have like the flexibility to play whatever is needed, you know.
Like I remember like in EWC, I think it was like Dorado, and it was if they banned Winston, we'd play like ball comp, and if they didn't ban Winston, we just like play Winston or something like that. And it was always like fun to switch between the two as well. It always felt like really refreshing. It's just like concepts like that too. I think are really fun to work with.
Yeah, I'm a big champion of the hero ban system. I would like to see it in like all competitive play at this point in the cycle of the game. There's always going to be like some broken comps that come out, especially with new heroes that make new combinations. But if you could just like force a little diversity with some bans, it's for the best, I think.
All right. So we got a little bit more time to fill here. So unless you got something else, I've once again improvised Jake during the interview and come up with a segment for us. So we didn't really talk about the game. We didn't really talk about the season 13 balance patch. But one thing I did see on Reddit today was Lukemino's season 13 hero tier list. So we're gonna take 10 minutes here, and I just want your thoughts on Lukemino's ranked tier list for season 13. So we can take some time to review it. Anything stands out, but the S tier right now is Winston, Orisa, Ana, Brig, Juno, Tracer, Ashe. Reinhardt, a hero dear to my heart, is B tier right now. Although people like Therapy are terrorizing ranked, for example. A Reaper is C tier, Jake. Just Reaper is C tier.
No.
So just kind of like instant reactions here when Infekted. Do you agree with Lukemino's season 13 ranked tier list?
I think for the most part, Widow is honestly too low. I think Widow should be top of S. Every
Yeah.
game I've had has had a Widow, and that character is so broken.
I think Pharah is also broken in ranked. I think Pharah should be up there. Also Reinhardt. I'm losing to Reinhardt every game.
no,
he is not
Ryan
B
is-
tier. I'm
No,
like
Ryan is A
put
tier.
Reinhardt S tier. Like
Okay, whoa. I don't know about
put
that one.
Reinhardt S tier, bro. Like
Bro,
I'm losing to
Reinhardt-
Ryan every game because I have Zarya players on my team. Just put him S
Okay,
tier.
that's because you have Zarya players. Ryan is
Yeah,
in
but,
S
like,
tier.
No, Reinhardt is broken. Reinhardt even beats Orisa in ranked for some
Okay,
reason.
that's
I don't know
that's
why. It's not. It's not crazy.
I think Genji should be S tier too.
Yeah,
Actually,
Genji. No, I think Genji's good in ranked. I'd say
yeah.
Genji S tier.
and Soj
Alright.
should be A tier as well. I think Soj is also getting ranked.
Yeah, I feel like Soja's been coming up the ranks, slowly climbing. She was knocked down real low, and then just slowly getting better and better. Have you guys played much Soja recently? You think I thought the patch door was kind of interesting. I was like, that could be interesting, could be good, but I couldn't tell, I guess, like
Yeah,
how much impact it would really have.
I played her a bit in ranked, and she's honestly not in like a bad spot right now. I think a lot of people over exaggerate, but she honestly feels kind of fine. I'd say maybe B tier is like where she should be, or potential for like A tier, like low A tier. I feel like Genji being like at the back of A tier. I don't know if he meant to order it that way, but I think Genji should.
No, it seems like there's tanks. It seems like tanks first, so tanks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tank support DPS.
Yeah, so I wouldn't read into the Genji at the bottom of the A tier. But yeah, you didn't mention the Sombra, did you? Is Sombra just garbage?
Oh yeah,
after the
you guys
rework?
played the rework at all?
Yeah,
Sombra
it's like
kinda sucks.
my only interaction with Sombra was like playing with Samito one game and he was trying to one fight. He's like, yeah, Sombra sucks. And he just like insta swapped off. He just insta swapped Mei. That's the only interaction I've had with Sombra.
Yeah, I think Sombra's pretty bad. Like she kind of has to just be like she's not really like a flanker anymore. You kind of just have to be like a tank shooter on Sombra. That's how I think it is. But it's like I don't think she fills that role quite well.
Yeah, I said that it plays kind of like Reaper, that you're just taking slide off angles or playing behind your tank and just then disengaging, like using your movement ability like backwards to disengage. It plays pretty differently from usual. All right, there you go. my improv season 13 ranked tier list review. Thank you, Lukemino, for providing your ranked tier list. All right, Jake, you got anything else before we wrap things up here?
No, I think that's good. I'm just excited to see you guys in Stockholm. It'll be fun to see the competition. I am also hoping that NA can dominate EU so that I can lord it over Johnny. But well,
I'm neutral. I'm neutral, dude. I've been living in Los Angeles. I've been here since 2018. I've been here for like 6 years.
Fair. He's an immigrant. You're welcome here, Johnny.
At least I'm not like standing over Korea, you know? Like I'm truly neutral. I'm not even like giving it to Falcons or Crazy Raccoon. So, well, Kevster, I'm biased towards Kevster.
It's too easy to be cheering for Korea. You know, it's nothing interesting. We know they're going to be really good.
That is a take. I kind of agree with right there. So some people need to hear that. Yeah, I'm a Kevster fan. That's all I can say. But hopefully you guys understand. All right. Well, thank you, Zeruhh Infekted, so much for joining us here for this episode. And good luck at Stockholm, guys.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Take it easy.
All right.